Hey guys, I hope you all are having a great day. I am so excited because I'm about to show you how I made this DIY Galaxy dresser. It was flipped from an old dresser that a friend gave me. I am in love with this. It was the first time I have had someone want something super creative, not just like a black or white, which I love doing that, but this was so much fun and I have been waiting for someone to ask me for something super custom. So when she texted me and told me she wanted it dark purple, I was like, there's gotta be something more to this. So I was like, beautiful color, like what's up with that? And she was like, I have a grandson who loves galaxies. And I was like, can I do like a galaxy themed front? And she said yes, and I was like, oh, so I was so excited. And yeah, I can't wait to show you guys how I made this. Hey everybody, Emily Miller here. Welcome to my channel, EA Furniture Flipping, where my motto is one man's trash can be another man's treasure if flipped. I love taking old furniture and giving it a new coat of paint, new hardware, fixing the problems so that someone else can enjoy it for many more years to come. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy this video, and what are we waiting for? Let's get started. So the first thing I did when flipping this dresser was remove the hardware. That's usually pretty much always the first thing that I do when flipping any piece of furniture. So the second thing that I did when flipping this piece was to clean it. Normally that is the second step I do on every piece unless I have something I want to sand. Then I will sand it first and then clean it. But you want to get it really good and clean so that your paint has a really good surface to stick to. So this piece ended up having a super stubborn, sticky part that did not want to come off, and I ended up having to use a scraper and clean it like multiple times, and then also ended up sanding it some to make it go away. It was difficult and giving me a hard time, but I eventually got it off. So cleaning the front of the drawers on this piece ended up being a little more difficult and a task than normal because it had these little grooves and I was having a hard time getting all the dirt out of there, but I ended up finding a way to take the scraper and wrap the cloth around it and then wipe the scraper with the cloth on it through those little grooves, and it ended up working really well. And yeah, I was kind of proud of myself for coming up with that little innovation, but it worked quite well and it got all the dirt out. The next step is to set up for the painting process, which I like to set my pieces up off the ground a good bit so I can really make sure I get good paint coverage on the bottom. And then usually I will find a way to drag it out there, roll it out there, or whatever, since I have a gravel driveway and I can't use rollers to get it out there. But today my husband was home, so he helped me take it out there and set it up on the cinder blocks. And then the next thing I do is take out the drawers so I can paint those also. Alright, so we've made it to the fun part, painting. So like I said earlier, the base coat for this one was going to be a purple, and I am loving this purple. It's so pretty. But the first thing I do is pour it into the can that goes on my paint sprayer. And then after I get it in there, I will pour water in it to make it a little less thick, because it can't be that thick in the sprayer. It won't come out very well, so you have to pour water in it, or paint thinner, whichever one you prefer, in there, and mix it up to make it a little bit thinner. Next up, of course, we have to protect our eyes from the paint spray, and also wear this mask, respirator mask, so I don't breathe in all of those paint fumes, because let me tell you, they'll give you a headache for sure. Alright, so now we're ready to paint. So this part is the super fun part, as you get to literally watch the transformation happen before your eyes. I always loved painting furniture, but let me tell you, when I got this paint gun, it changed my life. I mean, it changed my life. Like, my painting time was cut in like at least a fourth, if not like, I don't know, an eighth. Like, literally I can paint so fast with this thing. Like, it's amazing, and it gets really good coverage and really good even coverage. I just love this thing. It's so satisfying to watch. I like never get tired of it. The only time I've ever gotten tired of it was if I did too many pieces in one day, so I learned that lesson. Yeah, and these stupid bugs, they love the paint because it smells sweet, so then they land on it and then they can't get out. And so I got sick of trying to get them off, so I just went and got tweezers and got the little sucker off. So the next step is to paint the drawers, and I used to only paint the fronts because that's what the part you would see when the dresser is shut, but then one day I decided to paint the whole thing, the inside and the sides and everything, and I really just thought it gave it a nice finished look and just really took it to that next level. Since the look we were going for with this dresser was a night sky, I took a dark gray and did a light passover on the fronts of the drawers and on the body of the dresser itself to kind of give it that darker color and also kind of give it a night sky kind of vibe. Alright, and now we have made it to the really fun part of this project, making the galaxy kind of color theme on the front of the drawers. I had a really hard time starting this, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of stood there with my paint, my white spray paint, staring at it for a little bit like, am I really gonna ruin this job that I just did painting these? But in the end, I ended up really liking this. It looked super cool, super galaxy, and I had a lot of fun making it. I just basically took blues, purples, whites, dark blues, and just kind of spray painted them in random directions, kind of just going around and adding it in where I felt like it needed it. And I think it was so much fun, and I think it really turned out cool. So another method I used to get this look was I put some acrylic paint onto a toothbrush and kind of flicked it around all over the canvas, I guess, if you want to call it that. And then I took and dabbed it in with a sponge, and I ended up actually figuring out later how to flick it better. I was just kind of taking the whole toothbrush and kind of flicking my wrist and trying to get it out. That ended up getting more splotchy. I ended up figuring out if you take your finger and run it over the bristles themselves, it will kind of make a more splattery effect, which I ended up doing with the white, and that turned out really cool. So another method I did end up using was basically just putting the acrylic paint straight onto the sponge and dabbing that around. So here is where I am using the splattering technique on the toothbrush with the white, and it's kind of hard to see on here, but you can kind of see it splattering on there, and it just turned out way more sporadic and more galaxy looking than the flicking of the wrist splattering. Alright, so the hardware. Since I decided not to fill in the holes and make new ones for this piece, I had to get hardware that was already the same distance apart as the previous ones, which was 4 inches, and for some reason they don't like to make hardware that's 4 inches apart hardly anymore. They're all 3 3/4 inches apart, or like 5. There's hardly any 4, so I had to order them, and it took them 2 weeks to come in, and let me tell you, I was not happy about that. Alright friends, here we are. We have made it to the end of the video and the finished product of this dresser. I am loving how this turned out. Like I said, I have never done anything like this before because it's kind of a very custom piece, and to just do something random like that would be really hard to sew. So having someone specifically ask you for something like this is a much better way to go. And so yeah, I was super excited when she told me that I could make a galaxy front for this dresser, because boy does it look awesome, and it was so much fun to do. I hope I get more people ask me for custom stuff like this in the future, because yeah, it was great.